Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Trade the Chain. It is January 19th, 2021, and we are coming to you semi-live, I guess. We got Ryan, my co-host, who is not in the usual spot he's supposed to be in. We have CJ and Monty, our crypto analysts from MarketRebellion.com. And that's all I got to say. We're covering a lot of stuff today, actually. We got the big boards, plus we got Band, and we have Luna, which is Terra, ticker Luna, which just got listed on Voyager. Plus we have Ryan bringing us a good piece of news this afternoon, which is a $3 billion something or other that happened in Switzerland. But trust me, you're going to be really happy and excited when you hear it. Ryan, off to you to get the show started, my man.
Absolutely. Thanks, Alex. This is just a reminder that all information provided by Trade the Chain is strictly for educational purposes only. This is not investment advice and should not be construed as such. Trade the Chain is brought to you by Trade the Chain, a 24/7 community of traders around the world using AI-driven sentiment indicators and actionable alerts to help them beat the market, share their victories, and celebrate their great trading ideas. We have sentiment analysis, we have SigDev alerts for coin listings, and a whole bunch of other info that our members love using. TradeTheChain.com for a 14-day trial.
Yeah, and if you guys don't know, we've started a new series on Rob's channel, Digital Asset News, with Weston, who is a member of Trade the Chain. He is a very good sentiment trader, a very good track record as well. And so we're going to be doing this thing called the Trading Trinity, where it's Rob, I, and him, and he's going to be picking an asset based on this trading methodology. We're doing another episode later today, so be sure to check that out. But I'm excited about that series and seeing what Wes has in store for us.
Rob told me you guys are doing quite well over there.
Yeah, there's a lot of popularity. I think the first one got about 8,000 views over on Rob's channel. So definitely a lot of people liking it. Weston's 2 for 2 on his first 2 ideas. So nice. I don't play a very large role. It's primarily Weston, and then I'm just doing a little technical analysis. But on to our next thing. Market Rebellion Crypto is a community of traders 24/7 all around the world from beginning to advanced levels. And what you get in this service is a charting platform with a live chat in which you can interact with fellow members, as well as Monty and myself. We also publish trade insights and trade ideas on a weekly basis. We have a macro crypto portfolio where you can check out our allocations that we switch up every couple weeks. But if you'd like to get all of that and more, check out marketrebellion.com/crypto, and you can try it for just $1 for the first month. You don't, nothing to lose. You can come see our trade insights, our allocations, and of course our platform, which we will start the analysis. So let's take a look at Bitcoin, because not a lot has changed since our last episode yesterday, but there are some serious signals that we should get to. The first one being this 9 on the 4-hour. And then the fact that we're actually having a correction following that 9 in this symmetrical triangle. So on this triangle on the 4-hour, I'm looking for a break below either one of these trend lines. We're in this pattern where it's like a coiling spring, right? The momentum is built up to the point in which it just cannot be sustained anymore. And there has to be a large break in either direction. So I'm waiting to see where that catalyst kind of goes. Right now, it looks to be leaning bearish. If this 9 ends up being the second lower high that we put in after our previous one at around, I think it was 38 to 39K, that's going to be very bearish for the overall trend. Now, we could keep going up. We could go hit those Fibonacci levels. I just don't think it's likely based on where we are on the collective markets. And one thing I want to just show you guys on the weekly chart very briefly before I pass things off, let's take a look at what these tops typically look like. You have warning shots, you have all this bullish momentum that carries the trend up during euphoria, then people get this complacency. They're reminded of what it feels like to lose money on a retrace like this. And now it's all just like complacency. It's like, let's calm down and see where the market is going to take us. But if we look at our top and what we formed at 14K last spring or last run up, and I talked about this yesterday as well. You know, you have that euphoric state where you just run up, but then people get the reminder of what it feels like to lose money, and we consolidate, and you know, the bullish momentum slowly fades, and then inevitably we get a retrace. So it's just, we're seeing a lot of warning signs in the trend right now, and it's just very risky overall from a bullish perspective.
Yeah, absolutely looking very risky if you're a bull right now. And I think the main takeaway technically looking at this is kind of just the momentum is petering out. And you can tell that just by looking at these lower highs that we're continually setting. So CJ mentioned that we just hit another green 9, which is even lower than the previous high that we set. And when we were talking about that previous high at around 40,000, we were looking for a break above this level to close above the previous swing high. We didn't get it. And it's looking like we're in a similar place again. So I would say the momentum of the market has kind of shifted from that euphoric state to a more complacent state. And it seems like people are kind of losing their bullish perspective and starting to trade with a little bit of a bearish bias here. But it's going to be interesting to see where that bounce back happens. CJ highlighted some levels around 30K, and I think that's going to serve as very strong support. There's a lot of reasons to be bullish on the macro level, but in the interim, the chart is looking a bit bearish.
Well, folks, I mean, let's go over to ETH real quick, because what I want to discuss is this moonshot that happened. First of all, it sent our community into a frenzy. Everybody got all up and excited over it. What happened here? And a lot of people were talking about a little decoupling going on from its BTC. What are we looking at, and why was there any precipitous to this going up so sharply today?
Yeah, it's tough to say for sure, but a lot of people are excited about ETH 2.0 and the potential of the gas fees going down. I just want to quickly touch on what this could potentially mean going forward, because just looking at this, we got the green 9. I mean, ETH popped all the way up to a very strong resistance, I guess psychological resistance level of 1,500. And going forward, I think this is going to be very bullish for a lot of altcoins in the space. So I'm going to be closely watching the sentiment data to kind of see where the capital from this reversal inevitably goes. I think ETH is going to kind of correct from here. I think it's going to eventually kind of dip back down into the 1K range. But I think a lot of the capital that it's currently accumulating is going to go into some of the DeFi projects like Link, like Uni, like DOT. So it's going to be, I think, kind of a feeding frenzy for the alts when this capital starts to sell off from ETH.
And another thing to speak to Bitcoin, you know, we are seeing this kind of neutral consolidation. But one thing that's interesting is that, you know, the alts have at periods of time historically acted as a leading indicator for Bitcoin during these periods of complacency. So the fact that the bulls are coming out in the altcoin market is pretty interesting. Not, you know, totally significant or enough to place a trading decision, but I think it's worth noting nonetheless.
All right, very cool. Onto two alts. The first of which is a pretty popular one amongst people, which is BAND. Ticker is BAND. BAND has been showing some promise. A lot of people like it. Very popular. What can we see that's going on with BAND, and how maybe it might become one of those outlying winners?
Yeah, BAND is a very close related with Ethereum in that whole DeFi play. And you can see we have resistance here up at about $10 as well as $11. And we're undergoing a price flip here to a red one on the 4-hour time frame. Let's take a look at the daily. I'm sure it's probably not too much different. And yeah, you see we have a price flip on the daily as well. Pretty bullish formation and uptrend, but we formed this resistance here at about 10.7 on the daily time frame. You know, it's going to be tough because it really depends on what the overall market does here. Bitcoin's remaining kind of neutral, so we're seeing Ethereum pop and some of the other altcoins pop. But it's going to have to depend, are we going to sustain that neutral overall territory in Bitcoin? Because if we see a sell-off down to the 30K or even 20K levels, all of these altcoins, including ETH and BAND, are just going to bleed out with it.
Yeah, one thing I think is notable looking at this chart is the amount of volume that BAND has been seeing during the last couple of weeks. And I think if it can kind of maintain this volume over the next 2 to 3 weeks and sort of consolidate in this level around $10, that would be highly bullish for BAND, especially if you consider the pullback that would happen with Bitcoin that we're kind of anticipating here. So I think if BAND can maintain its trading volume, stay up around $10 and sort of consolidate after this uptrend, that'd be very bullish going forward, and it would set itself up nicely for the next wave of retail speculation.
Very cool. On to the next one. We have Terra. Terra is ticker Luna, Luna. This is actually a newly listed app on one of our favorite platforms, Voyager, and it has seen some price action to the high side quite abruptly. Any explanation behind this, or what are you reading in the tea leaves on the charts?
Wow, look at that chart.
Is there any honey holes, CJ? Do you see any honey holes?
I don't know if you can tell too much from looking at this chart yet, but it is interesting to note the sentiment around Luna. So before it was even listed, it did pop on Trade the Chain, and it's sitting at number 6 here. It's very, very bullish for the daily with a 91. The relative tweet volume is way up, relative trade volume is way up. And obviously this was kind of front running the listing on Voyager, but it's just interesting to kind of see how significant the sentiment can be with these altcoins and how much it can really drive the price. And where it's going to go from here is kind of tough to say because it really is just kind of being priced in. But yeah, it's very bullish sentiment wise.
And do we think that the listing on Voyager will help propel this at all, or has it been distributed enough that the impact will be minimal? Or do we think that the sharp price action was due to the fact that popular platform like Voyager did list it?
I definitely think that it has to do with the Voyager listing.
Well, Coinbase effect, CJ, as they like to
exactly.
coin it.
And we can see, they've done very good volume. They've done 45 million worth of volume in, just today, judging by the fact that, we really didn't have any bullish price action or catalytic explosive price action until the listing came. So definitely a big impact there, and a situation where the sentiment dashboard probably would have helped you out quite a bit. I do want to look at this chart though from like a yearly perspective on a larger time frame because we only have limited data on Voyager. So let's see how this thing's done. Yeah, so just straight parabolic in the last 2 months. Interesting.
Well, there's one to watch out for, and if you're a Voyager app customer, you know where to buy it. Listen, now we're heading over to some exciting stuff. Ryan is about to bring us news and kind of digest this, which is CoinShares launching an exchange-traded Bitcoin product, and this is huge, Ryan.
Absolutely. CoinShares is Europe's largest asset manager by a fair degree, and them launching an ETP really moves Bitcoin, into the forefront. This thing is digital. It's physically backed with Bitcoin. Each unit has 0.001 Bitcoin attached to it. It's not the first Bitcoin exchange traded product, right? There are about 35 such crypto products on SIX. Last week, a German company, ETC, listed a similar one, and I think WisdomTree also has one listed on SIX as well.
Yeah.
But this is by far the most significant one coming from an asset manager like CoinShares. And the fact that it's physically backed means that as more people buy into this ETP, that's going to cause Bitcoin prices to appreciate, or at least in theory it would, because it takes up what's left of the available supply. So, we're starting to see now that that wall of institutional interest and capital coming from the retail space as well, once people start buying into this. And I think that's what people were talking about when talking about Bitcoin going to 146,000, like JP Morgan said, or like Guggenheim going to 100,000. Products like this are what are going to drive Bitcoin towards those highs.
Well, I think, Ryan, also we talk about the retail FOMO into stuff and how PayPal and Revolut have sort of helped this along, Robinhood as well, making it ease of use. But now this opens it up to so many other retail people, right? People who have online trading platforms with like the traditional asset managers and stuff now have access to this.
And also, like, since it's publicly traded and it can be, custodied, pensions, endowments, they can invest in it, right? People can invest in it in their retirement accounts as well. So I think, it opens up all new kinds of avenues for people to invest in Bitcoin, for institutions to invest in Bitcoin. And I'm keen to see how adoption goes in it. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, no, you bring up a good point with like retirement accounts. I just want to point out right now, the only way really to invest in a retirement account with crypto is to actually, purchase the Bitcoin through like iTrust Capital and some others, very limited. But now you can put it anywhere. You can have exposure to Bitcoin at any brokerage firm.
Exactly. I mean, it's a great milestone for the industry for sure to have an asset manager like CoinShares joining the fray.
Hey, Ryan, I have a question. Do you see this monumental, like, do you see these guys becoming something like a GBTC for Europe?
I think that's possible, but I think there's so many other products similar to this that are physically backed, or that have existed before, and that hasn't quite happened yet. I'm wondering if the need was to have a CoinShares behind it before that would happen, because here we're not so keen or focused on individual brands for like ETFs, because there are so many ETF issuers here, but there aren't as many at that scale in Europe, and I think it makes a difference, and it could very well become a GBTC, Europe's GBTC for sure.
Ryan, you bring up a good point, because asked many times, in the first half and second half of last year, especially with the OCC decisions, people were like, Alex, do you think that all of a sudden the retail masses who aren't into crypto are going to flock to traditional banks to do custody, do this? I said, no, I don't. I actually don't think that's going to be a short-term effect, because people are going to see who the native experts are in the space. From that point of view. And we saw WisdomTree get into an ETP a little bit ago, and it didn't really move the needle. Now, WisdomTree is a very well-known, very well-respected company, but do you think this has to do with, I think CoinShares is actually going to make a difference with this ETP, but do you think the thinking is like how I'm thinking, which is saying retail people are going to go to a crypto native expert rather than a well-known traditional person? Because that's how I felt about the banking custody. I think this might be the case too.
No, and you make another good point there, Alex. That article that you wrote in CoinDesk, covered off on a lot of those themes, and you're right. People who want to buy crypto, they're going to go to the eToros or the Swissborgs of the world, or the European apps that you can just buy it on your phone, and they won't necessarily buy it from a CoinShares. However, if it's made available in people's retirement accounts or in their 401ks, whatever the equivalent is in Europe, and people can invest in Bitcoin that way, I think that's where the game changer comes in, because people who wouldn't necessarily do it on their own wouldn't go and download an eToro or a competitor. I think, they could just put it right into their IRA. They don't need to sign up for anything different. They don't need to have another account. It's just there and it's available. And I think that even if you capture 1-2% of those people that have all that money on those platforms, I think it makes a huge difference in terms of velocity for Bitcoin. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to, before I get to our announcement for the Bitcoin giveaway, I just do want to share an anecdotal story similar to that, where, hey, crypto retirement must be great. Somebody somewhere works for a company where somebody bought VGX at a penny, and now that it's at $1, has not been heard from since. Just want to say that. I think that's crypto retirement right there.
That's awesome.
That's the dream.
That being said, I want to tell you this episode, we're taking entrants for our $50 Bitcoin giveaway. We've already taken Monty's lunch money, CJ's beer money. I think it's now time to take Ryan's hairdo money. So $50 out of Ryan's hairdo money. You know what to do. Instructions will be posted below in the description. There's a bunch of follows. You have to say a phrase, give me my Bitcoin into the comments. And we will announce that winner. What's today? Tuesday? Crypto days go by so fast. We'll announce that winner Thursday's episode. And good luck to you all. Thank you for watching today. And what's my new saying? Hang on to those handlebars. Goodbye, folks, and have a good one.